Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So question, are schools actually engaging in grooming of your child? Yes, that is a sad fact. There's absolutely no question that the schools are engaging in grooming. This is indoctrination into radical sex and gender ideology, and it now begins in kindergarten and continues throughout the education system, through grade schools, into the universities, and it is poisonous and it's destroying lives. This is grooming into queer theory. Whenever you hear the term theory as applied to like critical race theory, critical legal studies, queer theory, this is all a species of Marxist critical theory. That's right. I go into and break it down at length in my book. But yes, queer theory is a species of the broader Marxist critical theory. And yes, Marxist weaponizing identity categories. And it is transparently neo-Marxist. It is being taught in the schoolroom to vulnerable and impressionable children. They have no idea that the nonsense that they are being fed is actual nonsense. They think the school teachers and the schooling system knows better than they do. They don't. They don't. In the instance of queer ideologues, they believe that gender and sexual identities are social constructs. That's right. Our sexuality and our sexual identities and our identities writ large are social constructs, socially manufactured. People are not born male nor female. They are interpolated. This is leftist language. They are read into, or they are coerced into socially confining and restrictive gender and sexual, racial categories. And so, in the absence of repressive, capitalist, or middle-class values, men can give birth and women can have penises, right? Because it's all coercive, capitalist, middle-class value oppression, right? Children, under this description, need to be rescued from this oppression and allowed to explore the liberating possibilities of gender fluidity. That's right, these pointy-headed leftists actually believe this nonsense. And the medical community and the pharmaceutical communities, they pretend to believe this stuff because this poisonous nonsense is making them billions of dollars. And so the self-appointed task of this virtuous teacher is to free your child from all restrictions and inhibitions. And you thought you were paying this teacher to teach your child to read and write. Oh, you are deeply mistaken. So, and yes, children are invited to explore these limitless possibilities in the classroom. Kindergartners are being given the gender unicorn or the gender dinosaur to help them decide what part of them might be a member of the opposite sex. Right? You know, at the same time, these liberal values are allegedly restrictive and suppress juvenile sexuality. So they need to be opened up to these limitless possibilities. So schools are providing sexually explicit material, pornography under any other description, including sexual acts, including adult sex interaction, right? This is pornography and pedophilia, which is being normalized under minor attracted people, right? Because don't you know it's stigmatizing to call a pedophile a pedophile. These ideologues never consider the possibility that children aren't emotionally or intellectually equipped to negotiate adult sexual experiences. Children get exploited. They are vulnerable. And sex is not a social construct. It is a biological reality. And I have pointy-headed leftists pointing out that, oh, I don't understand the difference between sex and gender. See, sex, for some of these deluded leftists, is a biological reality. Many of them disagree with that, disbelieve that. But for these others, they think, oh no, sex is a reality. But gender is a social construct. No, it's not. gender is just the social and cultural overlays of sex. There's two genders corresponding to the two sexes. So a man can wear a kilt in Scotland and still properly be a man. A woman in a skirt in downtown Toronto is a man in a skirt. And he's not all of a sudden magically a woman. I was listening to a podcaster and a great interview. I forget the guy's name. But he said, a woman with a vagina? No, having a vagina and breast doesn't make her a woman. But you can get Dylan Mulvaney to get on a sports bra and all of a sudden he's a woman? The guy is right. It's absolute nonsense. Permanently disfiguring surgeries and medical interventions, that does not change the basic biology here. It does not. And for adults suffering gender dysphoria, true gender dysphoria, the least bad option may be to transition. But by the way, the majority of these men pretending to have gender dysphoria are autogynephilics. They get a sexual thrill by prancing around in women's clothing. Right? Children under absolutely no circumstances should be given permanent disfiguring surgeries and chemical treatments. Do you know a boy undergoing, given puberty blockers to stifle normal puberty will end up with a micropenis? A micropenis. This does not go away. And parents are being lied to. Oh, these puberty blockers, it's a pause button. It's a pause button. It is not a pause button. Anybody who's not an absolute idiot knows puberty is this developmental window. Some hit it earlier, some hit it later. But when we hit it, a flood of natural chemicals goes through your body and there are permanent changes. You hit the stop button on this, not a pause button, and there are permanent life-altering changes. You are being lied to. The medical community is being utterly deceitful. And again, follow the money. Surgeons performing these horrific surgeries on these children who are too young to understand the consequences of their actions are making billions of dollars. The pharmaceutical industry, the whole thing. It's poisonous nonsense. And you've been told detransitioning, it's a myth. It's a myth. No, it's not a myth. There's a growing army of young people who've realized after it's all been too late to be undone that they've made a tragic mistake. And yes, it has ended in suicides. It is awful. Children need to be protected from this poisonous and disorienting ideology. And have you seen those parents in public pushing their child in front of the media and announcing to the world that their child is trans? You know immediately that this parent or these parents are exploiting their children and their child's confusion and their innocence to show you just how morally superior you are. It does not take a moral genius to realize you protect the sexuality of your child. If you have a gender-confused child, you need to get that child help, not medical interventions and surgeries. No, this child is troubled, and overwhelmingly, these children who come out as gender dysphoric have deep underlying emotional and psychological issues, and the world tells them that all of these problems will magically disappear if they just transition. It is a lie, an absolute lie. I hope you will check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. It's not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye.